Now on Indianapolis This Week, a community crisis, escalating violence in Indianapolis, including the murder of a Metro police officer. We talk about solutions, including possible tougher state laws on criminals, and a special tribute to Officer Perry Wren through the heartfelt words of a fellow officer.
From RTV6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Thank you for joining us for Indianapolis This Week. I'm Rafael Sanchez. We start this week with the violence that has stunned our community and led to demands for change in Indianapolis. The past 10 days have been disturbing and disappointing for so many people in central Indiana. First, the shootings in Broad Ripple and the people hurt in one of the city's well-known entertainment districts. And then nearly a week ago, Officer Perry Wren killed in the line of duty. We're now joined by State Senator Jim Merritt, a Republican from Indianapolis. Senator Merritt sits on the Senate's Public Policy Committee and supports legislation to beef up punishment for committing a crime with a gun. Senator, welcome to the program. So many laws already on the books. Can we add another law that will make any kind of difference in these kinds of situations?
I do believe we can, and the law that we established this last session was a watered-down piece of legislation from what I proposed initially, and Mayor Greg Ballard and I are in lockstep with this because we believe putting people behind bars is a good signal to the Indianapolis community and for Indiana, for that matter, because we saw the tragedy in Gary, that residents will be safe, citizens will be safe, and if you look at the stats, if we would have gotten the minimum mandatory that we had proposed, probably 10 or 15 of the incidences, the tragedies, the crisis that we've had, those individuals would be behind bars now.
So what is your vision? So what is the plan that people should say, you know what, that sounds like a good idea, or maybe, you know, what is that vision?
Well, the debate, and this is a debate, but if a person commits a felony like robbery or sexual assault, using a weapon and using by brandishing or firing a gun in the commission of that crime, once that individual is convicted of that crime, either sexual assault or at all, then the enhancement of 20 years on top of that, because they used a gun, brandished or fired the gun, they would have a minimum of 20 years in prison, and on top of the prison sentence that they were given because of the original crime. And I believe that this sends a strong message to criminals that using a gun does not pay in the commission of a crime, and they know it. The criminals know it. They know how long they're going to be put inside. And nowadays, you've seen so many different examples where people criminals have been sentenced to 8 years and they get out in 2.5. We can't have that now. We have to send a message not only to punish the individual, but also to put them behind bars to keep our community safe.
You know, people like that message, but then it comes down to the political will. Is there a will in that State House to say, you know what, we need to toughen these laws? Or will people say, we're talking about guns, and if we talk about guns, then people are going to accuse us of being anti-Second Amendment?
Well, you raise a very good point, and it's up to me to go down the channel narrowly, and what we talk about is the illegal use of guns. The folks that are part of the NRA and the people that use the guns and store guns and understand or license, the folks that are responsible, this will not have any impact whatsoever with. It's those individuals who aren't licensed, who use these guns, as we've seen this last weekend, in an irresponsible criminal way. Those are the individuals that we're targeting. That's who we are getting after.
What will you tell your colleagues that live out in the rural communities, which is the majority of Indiana, who are going to say, listen, this is an urban issue. Don't bother us. Don't overcrowd our jails just because Indianapolis or Gary or Evansville or Fort Wayne can't handle their crime issue?
Well, it'll be on the books for all of Indiana, but we're seeing in urban areas where the problem is incredible, and we're not having as much problem in the rural areas as possible. So I don't see it impacting rural areas as much.
But is that short-sighted? I mean, should someone who believes that they live out in Tipton or maybe in Bartholomew County think, well, it's just an Indianapolis issue, it'll never come here? Is that short-sighted?
Well, I don't believe it's short-sighted, because Indianapolis and central Indiana is growing, and you see problems in Fishers, you see problems in Westfield, and the pie is growing, and people probably on farms don't feel safe as well. So every community has their own situations, and I believe that this is good for the state of Indiana, and it will take a lot of work to bring individuals from the General Assembly on board. But I've gotten multiple calls from people from outside central Indiana who want to be helpful.
30 seconds left. You have the momentum. People are thinking about this issue now. Can this carry through in January? Can we see something in the law books in April?
Yes, I think it can continue. It'll be up to me to continue the momentum, and those that have agreed to be helpful. Right now, what we need to do is take back our Indy, and we need to make sure that our residents in the city of Indianapolis feel comfortable, freedom of movement, and that is really the essence right now of stabilizing the community and letting residents know that they can be free and they can move free.
Senator Merritt, thank you so much for coming in. We hope that you'll come back to Indianapolis this week. Thank you for your time. Coming up, another toll of the violence in Indianapolis. We look at how the shootings are putting lives at risk, people nowhere near the gunfire. Welcome back to Indianapolis This Week. Time to bring in our political insiders, Kip Due and Abdul Hakim Shabazz. The topic, the violence crisis in Indianapolis and whether it threatens to dominate the race for mayor.
When you cut crime prevention grant money from $4 million to $2 million, you get what you have today. If you're not investing in stopping crime before it happens, you're just putting a Band-Aid on a bad wound. And this city right now has a bad wound. We needed long-term solutions. We haven't gotten them for the last few years. So I think it will be definitely a big issue in the next campaign.
I think public safety will be an issue, but Kip is right. We never know what the issue next year will be. Back in 2006, when we had our last major spike in homicides, we all thought crime was going to be the issue in the 2007 mayor's race. It turned out it was going to be taxes. So you can't necessarily predict the future. What I will say, in response to my good friend here, was there a cut in crime prevention grant money? Yes, because crime preventions were paid with income taxes. And as Kip likes to point out, we just went through the worst economy since the Great Depression. So were revenues down? Yes, because the economy was bad. Now, does that stop people, say, who are prosecutors and judges from putting these guys behind bars? No, it doesn't. When 90% of our suspects all have prior felonies, and if we had 10-year mandatory minimum sentencing, we could have probably dropped that by 15 to 25. That tells me that we are not doing what we need to do in the short run to keep these guys behind bars.
We just heard from Senator Jim Merritt. Well, hold on. We just heard from Senator Jim Merritt, who's going to push that legislation in January. Is there the will in that state house to push for stronger legislation when it comes to sentencing people over guns, out of fear that if they do that, they'll be anti-guns?
I had a conversation with Senate President Pro Tem David Long this week, who made it perfectly clear that this is not about law-abiding citizens and their Second Amendment rights to lawfully own firearms. This is about criminals, people who don't obey the law to begin with.
Do you think that's
stand behind bars?
Well, look, we shouldn't let criminals have guns. We should have background checks. We shouldn't have armor-piercing bullets. We shouldn't have anybody with an assault weapon. There's no need for it in this country. It is an insane place that we have come to in the United States of America where that happens. But I also want to get back to him saying that the economy caused us to cut crime prevention grants. Crime prevention is prevention. It saves money in the long run. If you cut off your hand to spite your arm, then you're going to get what you get. You need to make the long-term investments when times are tough, because that's will help you later. It is so dumb, in my opinion, to make an argument that says $4 million cut to $2 million and doesn't have long-term impact. It had a huge impact.
30 seconds, but back to my question. Do we have the will to be able to take any kind of action? We saw after Newtown, there was all this talk about maybe some gun prevention issues. Now another officer shot in Indianapolis. Is there the will to address the issue in a common sense way? And I don't even know what the word common sense would mean.
I think the will is there to address the issue in a comprehensive manner.
Is there?
I think so. everyone I've spoken to, just regular people on the street outside our political bubble, say they have no problem paying more for police officers, but they don't want to pay for more cops if all it's going to do is just mean the guys get arrested quicker and back on the street sooner.
Well, I can't disagree with that at all, but we also need to do things to stop crime from happening, and that is putting in place programs and that we funded before and that have worked, and then we cut them, and so they stop working. It's just not sane, rational behavior on behalf of policymakers, and it's also not sane to not pay for more police officers.
The conversation between our insiders continues on Twitter. Check out their Twitter handles and give us your opinion, and stay up to date with Abdul, Lara, and Jennifer throughout the week. The ripple effect of the violence is being seen at the Indiana Blood Center. Blood supplies are in some cases very low, making it difficult to meet the requests from many hospitals. We visited with Lucy Waking. She took us inside the refrigerated room where blood donations are stored in Indianapolis. The empty shelves, as you will see, are not a good sign.
This is where you store all the blood, a very cold space, but we need that for the blood to be safe and to arrive at its destination. I'm seeing a lot of empty shelves.
Yep.
What are we attributing the empty shelves to?
You know, summer is always a hard time for us. 21% of the blood drives that we host are education-based blood drives. So during the summer when schools are out of session, we tend to see a decrease in our donations. The July 4th holiday, any holiday, you know, throughout the year is always a harder time as well. People are busy with other family festivities, and then, you know, traumas.
And we have seen a lot of trauma in Indianapolis.
Increased trauma, you know, will cause demand to go up, and it's the blood on the shelf that saves lives. That's why Indiana Blood Center needs to see 550 people each and every day.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah, you know, when we came in on Monday, we were in a back order situation, so we were back ordered 72 units of O-negative blood, and we made the plea to our donors, and we've seen them act, which is great. So, you know, the back order is slowly decreasing, but the need is constant. It doesn't matter.
For example, this shelf here, right? O-negative blood.
O-negative is right down there.
Down here. So that's this here. This is empty.
Yes. So just to explain a little bit about O-negative is a universal donor type. So everyone can receive O-negative blood. So in the instance of a trauma, when they do not have time to test the recipient, they will give them O-negative blood. Only 7% of the population is O-negative. So therein lies the problem. We're constantly calling on our O-negative donors to come in and help fill our shelves.
You know, I often don't think about this place because I don't think I'm going to need blood.
Right.
I hope I'm not going to need the blood.
Sure.
But that's the problem, right? We never know when that need is going to arise. So we really need to do the best we can.
Yeah.
Right?
The need is constant. Like you said, you never know. I mean, you know, we're really here for the everyday. It doesn't matter if it's a trauma. You know, a lot of cancer patients utilize blood on a daily basis throughout their cancer treatment. So, like I said, it's the blood on the shelves that saves lives. And right now, you know, we need to encourage donors to come out.
So on this Sunday, what do we need right now? So people that are sitting at home right now, what can they do on Monday to help you and Hoosier families across the state?
Raise or sleeve. It's as simple as that. It takes about an hour of your time. Indiana Blood Center has 8 locations, donor centers throughout the state. And if a donor center isn't convenient, we host up to 20 mobile blood drives a day. So you can go to indianablood.org and find a mobile drive near you if there isn't a donor center convenient for you.
You heard it from Lucy Waking. Raise your sleeve beginning on Monday. We thank you for joining us on Indianapolis
thank you.
This Week.
Thanks for coming by.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Indianapolis This Week. The 44th annual Indiana Black Expo Summer Celebration is right now underway. This year's theme, Good for Indiana, Good for IN. We're joined now by Tanya Bell. She's the president and CEO of Indiana Black Expo. Welcome to the program, and tell me how good it is for Indiana and this amazing cultural festival that comes to Indianapolis every year. Are you excited?
Very excited, very excited. We have some amazing features this year. The staff and all of our volunteers have worked very hard. So just very excited this year.
What can we expect from you? Because every year you try to top the previous years. So year 44, what can we expect when we go downtown?
Well, this year we really focused on the exhibition hall inside of the Indiana Convention Center, and so 2 days of boxing this year, so we extended it from 1 day to 2 days. We'll also have a fashion show that will be right center stage on the floor in the exhibition hall that will feature Kato Momolu from Project Runway. So one of my favorite designers. She'll have her designs there all weekend. We have celebrity hairstylist Kim Kimball, part of the hair show. And so a lot going on. Celebrity basketball game, our tech zone, and 12 and under is free again this year.
And coming up on Monday, tomorrow, we'll be talking about the business expo per se over the next 4 days. And what can people expect at the convention center over those next 4 days?
Absolutely. We always kick it off with our business. We want them to come out. We kick it off with the mayor's breakfast, and I'm glad that you will be emceeing that again this year, so we're glad to have you.
I'm ready for breakfast.
Very early. But a lot of business. There's several workshops that really focus on procurement, financing opportunities, how to do business with the state universities, and so there's a lot going on inside the business conference this year.
You often address the convention center there during the mornings, tomorrow morning. What will you tell these businesses this year? I mean, because everyone is wanting to grow their business. Everyone wants to do better for their community. What will you tell them this year?
I will.
A sneak peek, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the one thing is really just, we always try to focus on building their workforce. So really listening to the experts, because we're hosting, but we'll have several experts there. Carla Harris will be one of them on Tuesday, who is the vice chairman of Morgan Stanley, and so everyone's very excited that she will be keynoting one of the plenary sessions during the week.
I'm looking forward to seeing Louis Gossett Jr. and Miss Diane Carroll at the big luncheon. Can I get an autograph?
I'll see what I can do.
But that is a big event, and this really, this cultural event, because it's really cultural, really emphasizes the best of our community.
Absolutely, absolutely.
With the concerts and the people that you're able to bring into town.
Absolutely. Very excited. I mean, the corporate luncheon, we have Louis Gossett Jr., Diane Carroll. We'll also have Tracy Edmonds, and very excited even with respect to the award that we're giving CVS this year for their decision to stop selling tobacco products in the stores. As you know, African-American community is disproportionately impacted by those diseases that are caused by smoking, and so that's a real big statement that we want to make this year with honoring CVS as well.
You're also honoring public safety, because we've had a tough week in Indianapolis this week, and you've really been very upfront about just sharing that love and concern and compassion for the officers that help you out during the municipal days, and also the officer that we lost.
Absolutely. One of the things that I shared at the press conference yesterday is there's no way. IMPD is like family to Indiana Black Expo, because there's no way that we can do what we do without them. And we lost, I feel like, we lost one of our own. Right now, I think the city is in mourning, but we will make sure we're doing what we need to do to honor the life and the legacy of Officer Wren.
What do you think will be the future of Expo? Will Expo always stay downtown? Will you move around the state? I know a lot of the other cities would love to see the Expo come to their city, sort of like a convention picks a city. Do you think you'll ever do that, where you'll move Expo maybe to a Muncie or to somewhere in Lake County, or will it always be to Indianapolis?
Well, we actually have 12 chapters throughout the state.
I know you do, but as you know, they still want the big show in their city. They get a little jealous that they have to come down to Indianapolis, the real big city. Will you ever move that around, or will it always be here?
You know, right now, I have to give kudos to the Indiana Convention Center and Visit Indy and everyone, which we have one of the best conventions in the country. And I just think we'll stay where we are there, and we will work with our chapters if our chapters want to put on their own expo there, and it can be just as big.
Sure. Well, listen, I know that's going to be a great couple of days. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I will see you tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
And I cannot wait to get that autograph with Diane Carroll.
All right.
And Louis Gossett Jr. You got me?
I got you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Looking ahead, the Caustic's investigators are digging into a law that many drivers ignore. We're talking about the Move Over law, which says you have to give emergency vehicles some room when they've got their lights flashing. Caustic's investigator Kara Ketty is digging into why so many drivers get away with failing to move over. Her story, Thursday at 7. Next, the policeman and the poem. The salute to the fallen officer, Perry Wren, and the black band that symbolizes the ultimate sacrifice. We all express grief in different ways. Officer Jeff Webb of IMPD finds comfort in words. When 3 Hoosier officers recently died in the line of duty, including Tipton County Deputy Sheriff Jacob Calvin and IMPD's Perry Wren, he sat down and wrote a poem to express his loss. Here's Jeff Webb's tribute in 107 words, entitled The Black Band.
I'm sick of putting this band on my badge, of seeing another brother fall, of seeing another sister laid out upon an altar before us all, of seeing another family sit while they receive a folded flag and know the crushing loss they feel as you can see their shoulders sag. Then I remember what this band means, recalling the fallen who've gone before, who gave everything they had to honor the badges that they wore. By protecting the public from evil that lurks within the dark recesses of society's mind, by being the last bastion of defense, by being the honored thin blue line.
Officer Webb has been with Metro Police for 43 years. We thank him for his service and for all those in uniform. We've posted his poem and the video version on our website, theindychannel.com. We thank you for watching. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Join Drew Smith tonight for the news at 6. And remember that we are always on the RTV6 app and our website, theindychannel.com. Have a great Sunday.